Hello everyone, this is Jeff Hollis and I am here for Corellian Run Radio and I am interviewing Daniel Erickson, the one and only lead writer for Star Wars The Old Republic. Daniel, how are you today?
Confused. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Every time I've ever been interviewed by Corellian Run Radio before, it has been a beautiful woman. What are you doing here?
Are you suggesting I'm not beautiful?
I'm not suggesting the beautiful part isn't there.
Daniel, let me ask you a couple of questions real quick. You guys have introduced some very, very good content. This is a big show. Tell us about some of the things that are new.
So we introduced the big one, operations. We pulled the lid off of our endgame for the first time. We showed the first operation, which is our take on raids, and that's the Eternity Vault. The Eternity Vault takes place on Belsavis. Belsavis is a prison world built by an ancient race. You get to play through it as a normal part of the game, but that mystery always sort of remains of why did they build this whole thing like a full planet? What were they trying to contain? Well, the Eternity Vault is open, and people now get to see the horrors that are inside, and the Republic gets to go down and try to stop them. Empire gets to go down and see if they can grab some of that power.
Now, when people hear raids, in this case operations, they, I think, naturally go to 40-man, huge things, 25-man, also still pretty huge and unmanageable. What are you guys doing about that?
So, we've definitely said we're doing, the 8-man, and we're doing more than the 8-man. What it actually turns out at the final is going to be based on tech, and really what's fun. So we have a very dynamic combat system. People are flying around through the air. We have a lot of blaster combat, which means a lot of space, which means we have to figure out, one, what is easy to coordinate, or, easy in raid terms to coordinate, and what is actually going to work for our style of combat.
Okay, so that decision's not made yet.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, but you do have 8-man content, you said?
We have 8-man, and we have more than 8-man. We just don't know what more is going to mean.
All right, now, we met somebody named Olgo during the E3 this year. What can you tell me about him? It's not really a flashpoint. It's not really an instance. What's going on there?
So King Olgo is the former general who has taken over Alderaan, and is an homage to what character?
You tell me, brother.
Oh, come on. Here's your cred. Where's Olgo from?
What? Huh?
Oh, your cameraman knew. Trask Olgo, he taught us to wear pants in KOTOR.
Oh, of course, my bad.
You would have never had pants. How can you not remember the guy who was creepily staring down at you when you woke up in the morning? So, King Olgo has taken over, declared himself king. We've gone through a 10-quest world arc, fighting against his forces, pushing him down. Finally, we've made our way to the throne room. We get to fight him himself. It's a cool puzzle fight, because he puts up a big shield, and then you have to run around blowing up pillars to try to take it down. You get a rocket launcher. It's good times. Jedi with a rocket launcher, always good. And we really wanted to show it wasn't just flashpoints, and it wasn't just, the operations, where you had big, epic, cool fights.
Now, you said it's a puzzle fight. What does that mean?
It means you actually have to get some items to take down some other things. Like, you have to do a bunch of stuff even just to get to him. And then he has several stages of combat that he goes through, so you have to sort of shift tactics on the fly.
Okay, some traditional raid play there. I mean, you're really making it challenging for the players. They have to really challenge themselves and be at their best to overcome the obstacle.
Yeah, well, they got to, for this one, because you can do it for the whole group. It's not quite the challenge level of a raid, but you do actually have to stop and think, which is always a good thing.
And very different for an MMO.
Sometimes. One of the things, too, that we started showing on the same idea was the new death system. So James Olin, who's our director, very, very big on we need to make combats not a cakewalk. We need to make it so players die, because that's what wakes them up, right? We need to say, in this combat, because of this setup, I need to approach it a different way. But for that to happen, we need to make the deaths far more forgivable, right? In a single-player game, you just reload the game. So you got to see, we now have the probes who come out. Medical probe will pick you up. You get about 12 seconds to run away and hide somewhere, and you can go right back in. If you keep dying, the time that it'll take between you where you can use the medical probe gets higher and higher, so eventually you're just going to go back. But for the time being, it's much more forgiving.
Now, companions are new. We have several new companions. Briefly, what could you tell us about those?
So we had a new companion come out for each of the Imperial classes. So we've got Zalek, who people have seen before. So he's a Sith. He's out there. We've seen him. We've got Sergeant Pierce. Sergeant Pierce is sort of a stormtrooper-ish character. Obviously, Imperial trooper. We don't have stormtroopers. But he loves mayhem. He is dark side, and great for people who want a companion in arms.
And that's what we love about him.
Yeah, so we've got Scorpio, who's sort of a femme fatale droid. She's not Imperial or Republic. She's from somewhere else, so we get to see our first female droid, and she's nasty and doesn't like you. And we've got Blizz, who is the adorable Jawa, who is actually a ranged tank.
Now, that's an interesting name. What made you come up with that name?
Blizz was not. Yes, many people have thought. Blizz came from somewhere totally different, and it wasn't until actually years after he was around that somebody said, hey.
Daniel, thank you so much for talking to us. We really appreciate your spending the time. Give us a last word.
The game is on the show floor. It's running. It's beautiful. We're getting great feedback, and people are just coming in public, lining up, play the game, free form, any way they want.
Thank you very much, sir. Once again, this is Jeff Hollis for Corellian Run Radio, and we are signing off.